Hello everyone. Welcome to my YNR 24 Spoilers Update channel. Nate's choice, Billy and Jill's battle, and Victor and Jack's attack. This Friday, October 3rd, 2025, episode of The Young and the Restless has spoilers. Supporters can anticipate that Jack Abbott and Victor Newman will come to an agreement on an offensive strategy against Kane Ashby. Billy Abbott and Jill Abbott are reopening old wounds in the meantime. Let's discuss what will happen in the upcoming episode of the CBS soap opera as you continue reading. The Alliance of Victor Newman. First, let's talk about Victor and Jack's dangerous partnership. Nikki Newman is right to be worried, even though Jack is correct that they will have a better chance of safeguarding their businesses together. The blonde is hesitant about her own husband, but not about Jack. The woman even confided in Victor that she worries he may later exploit the partnership to retaliate against Jack. Read more. Discover the events of YNR's most recent episode. Jack Abbott's agreement to attack. Jack and Victor must decide on an offensive strategy in the interim. They will develop a plan following some brainstorming and idea sharing. Will this aid them in defending their businesses from Kane? Kane has shocked Victor thus far by refusing to accept any of his offers. Therefore, based on Kane's next actions, Victor and Jack may devise several potential strategies. Billy and Jill Abbott versus. Billy will also be there, confronting his mother once more. The man is still enraged and incensed about Jill selling Victor Chancellor. Billy then distanced himself from his mother. The man will only reopen old wounds with his mother. He won't improve anything. Billy and Jill still have a deep love for one another. To resolve their disputes, though, it appears that further meetings may be necessary. Billy didn't even hurry to his mother's side when her heart problems reappeared because of how serious the rivalry was. Billy is acting like an overgrown brat at the same time. Regardless of whose name is on the building, the man has no rights. Read this. Spoilers for The Young and the Restless. Kyle is stunned when Summer, her true love, gets engaged to a new man and rushes to stop her. October 3rd, 2025, Friday. Additionally, there is Nate Hastings' challenging situation. It's evident that Audra, Charles, and Nate still have feelings for one another. Nate has consistently refused to give in to Audra's repeated pleas for forgiveness. Could he choose to give the brunette another opportunity this time? Additionally, Claire Grace Newman and Holden Novak ought to be preparing to flee Genoa City. However, Victoria Newman won't be far behind. Victor's takedown, Audra's war, and Jack's trick. Spoilers for Monday, October 6th, 2025, are available for The Young and the Restless. Fans should anticipate that Jack Abbott will have a surprise in store for them in the upcoming episode. Victor Newman plans to defeat an adversary. In addition, Audra, Charles, and Kyle Abbott hit a dead end. Let's discuss the upcoming developments in the CBS soap drama as you continue reading. The strategy of Victor Newman. First, let's talk about Victor, who will keep organizing Kane Ashby's defeat. Jack and the man are working together, but only temporarily and for a necessity. Kane has not yet benefited from any of the agreements, threats, or transactions. Victor isn't used to being turned down, and the tycoon keeps saying no. Either way, Victor discovers that Kane has become more cunning than before. He finds that disconcerting and finds it more difficult to focus on a single tactic. Victor has a history of juggling several strategies at once, and this time is probably no exception. Read more. Discover the events of YNR's most recent episode. The trick of Jack Abbott. He will collaborate with Victor over with Jack, but he also has some intentions of his own. Even when Victor refuses to collaborate with Billy Abbott, I question whether Jack will still enlist him, even if it's in secret. The journey of Claire Grace Newman. According to Monday, October 6th spoilers for The Young and the Restless, Claire Grace Newman will be preparing for her vacation to Los Angeles with Holden Novak. Victoria and Nikki Newman initially believed Claire was going with Kyle. They both freaked out when she told them she was going with Holden. Victoria is likely to make plans to accompany Claire to Los Angeles. It's interesting to note that Nick and Sharon Newman will also be in the big city to meet up with Noah. I'm curious to see how these characters and plots will all come together. Before traveling to Genoa City, perhaps we will also discover a little more about Holden's past. Please read this. Spoilers for the young and the restless. Sally receives payment from Jill for Abbott Communications. October 6th, 2025, Monday. Fans can anticipate that Kyle and Audra will approach the place of no return in the upcoming episode. Their antagonism seems to be based on genuine chemistry. Will they find themselves sharing a bed again? What impact will that have on their future? Claire or Kyle's parents will definitely not be pleased. For Genoa City's elite power players, the week of October 3rd, 2025, on The Young and the Restless is a watershed. It is characterized by awkward alliances, reopened wounds, and tough decisions that push the limits of pride, loyalty, and love. As the story threads weave tighter, Victor Newman and Jack Abbott, two giants whose antagonism has defined decades of the show's past, make the unimaginable option to combine forces against a common threat: Kane Ashby. In the meantime, Billy Abbott's inability to control his rage against his mother, Jill Abbott, rekindles a rivalry that goes beyond business, adding to the drama inside the Abbott family. In other news, Nate Hastings must make a choice that could change the course of his personal and professional goals. While in Genoa City's shadows, younger players Claire Grace Newman and Holden Novak get ready to flee the mayhem, not realizing that their decisions will affect numerous families. The plot of these episodes is classic YNR, combining corporate rivalry, emotional conflict, and moral complexity to keep viewers on edge and demonstrate that Genoa City is still able to deliver after 50 years of broadcasting. Alliance, The Devil's Deal by Victor Newman. When it comes to his long-standing rival Jack Abbott, Victor Newman has never been a man who readily trusts. The two have been at war across family lines, boardrooms, and beds for decades. Every spectator is aware that there is more going on here than just mutual cooperation when Victor consents to form an alliance with Jack in order to take on Kane Ashby. This connection is based on necessity rather than trust. And in Victor's world, necessity is frequently a short-term excuse for impending treachery. Jack makes good sense. Kane has developed into a dangerous foe who bravely navigates corporate mayhem in a way that neither Victor nor Jack had expected. Kane is now endangering the very foundations of Jabot and Newman Enterprises after years of being written off as a second-tier player. Jack is aware that the only way to stop him is to pool their resources, a combination of might and intelligence that might momentarily tip the scales. Victor, meanwhile, views cooperation as postponed conquering rather than partnership. Victor's mind is already 5 steps ahead of him, figuring out how to use the partnership as a tool for his own ultimate dominance, even as he sits across from Jack, exchanging strategies and sipping brandy. Nikki Newman recognizes the threat right away. Nikki, the Newman household's sane voice, is worried about her husband's arrogance rather than Jack. She is aware that Victor's infatuation with power never stops with victory on its own. It always calls for the downfall of someone. She has legitimate concerns that Victor may eventually use this partnership to retaliate against Jack. Victor's alliances have frequently ended in betrayals, ranging from business takeovers to psychological manipulations. However, Victor dismisses her cautions in typical Newman way, believing he is capable of outwitting both his friend and his enemy. The emotional past this union resurrects is what makes it so intriguing. Jack and Victor are ideologically opposed to one another in addition to being rivals in business. Victor lives on control and dominance, but Jack fights for justice, respect, and affirmation. What one man hates most about the world is reflected in the other. Viewers can thus nearly feel the tension beneath the surface as they formulate plans to oppose Kane. Every handshake and every agreement is tinged with decades of animosity and unhealed scars. This tense truce is ideal for treachery, the kind of slow-burn manipulation that YNR is known for, according to devoted admirers. Chess at its best. Jack Abbott's attack agreement. Jack Abbott has always been Genoa City's astute tactician. Jack's power comes from his subtlety, charisma, and intelligence that disarm before they strike, in contrast to Victor's straightforward and aggressive techniques. Jack realizes that his collaboration with Victor must be strictly regulated as they develop their attack plan against Cain Ashby. Cain has already shown himself to be erratic. All of Victor's offers, including partnerships, buyouts, and backroom agreements, have been turned down. Victor is enraged at Cain's refusal, but Jack recognizes the pattern. Cain isn't resisting out of conceit, but rather as a tactic. He is making his opponents show their hands. That insight changes Jack's strategy. Instead of being as aggressive as Victor, Jack chooses to be subtle. He suggests a multi-pronged effort that includes indirect pressure via subsidiary channels, PR tactics, and legal actions. However, after outlining the strategy, Jack still feels that Victor's cooperation is only temporary. Jack has done this dance before, so he's not a fool. He paid a heavy price for his previous trust in Victor, both personally and professionally. Therefore, the alliance is based on mutual calculation rather than hope. Many viewers probably have the same mental monologue as Jack. Keep your enemies near. Through this partnership, Jack is also able to face a long-standing fear that, in spite of his brains and moral character, he would never be as merciless as Victor. Jack has been vacillating between moral compromise and integrity for years. He must decide which of his selves will survive this new struggle after he partners with Victor. Will he continue to be the morally upright leader who defends Jabot's legacy, or will he turn into another Victor Newman, ruthless and driven by retaliation? It's evident that neither man really trusts the other as they decide on their attack. Each plans to exert leverage through the alliance. In this way, the plot is more about identity than business. It's a conflict between ideas masquerading as corporate conflict. The old wounds between Billy Abbott and Jill Abbott have been reopened. The week's emotional center is Billy and Jill Abbott, even while the titans battle it out in the boardroom. Love, animosity, and a common goal have always driven their erratic mother-son relationship. Jill's choice to sell Chancellor to Victor caused wounds that had never fully healed to re-emerge. Billy views it as a personal betrayal in addition to a commercial one. He interprets it as evidence that his mother prioritizes lineage and power over fidelity and family. He completely cuts Jill out of his life as a result of his self-destructive wrath brought on by that bitterness. However, Y&R is excellent at examining the murky regions of family strife. Even though Jill's activities are dubious, they are motivated by practicality. In a world ruled by males like Victor and Jack, she has always persevered and fought her way to prominence. Selling Chancellor was a gesture of preservation rather than treachery. Billy, however, is unable to recognize that because of his constant desire for approval and control. He is blinded by his rage, and his impetuous, careless, and petulant behavior reflects the same tendencies that have repeatedly destroyed his relationships. On October 3rd, they had a direct and intense encounter. Billy lashes out with hurtful comments, while Jill tries to reason with him by appealing to his emotions. Both of them are too proud to give up, which is the tragedy of their relationship. Jill's accusation that Billy is acting like an overgrown brat is sad and true. He is intelligent, passionate, and constantly self-destructive, making him the emotional child of the Abbott clan in many respects. The reminder of Jill's health issues intensifies the emotional impact. The extent of their separation is shown by the discovery that Billy didn't even run to her side when her heart problems reappeared. Nevertheless, love, fierce and perfect and uncompromising, lies beneath the yelling and accusations. No matter how nasty the argument gets, fans can tell that these two will eventually reconcile. However, the wounds they cause will influence upcoming plots for months to come. The Heart's War is Nate Hastings' dilemma. Nate Hastings finds himself at a crossroads in another part of Genoa City. A spiral of temptation, treachery, and regret has characterized his complex relationship with Audra Charles. The attraction between them endures in spite of his efforts to move on. Ever the survivor, Audra has pleaded for forgiveness, but Nate has remained distant due to his pride. Nate now has to choose whether to give Audra another chance because both of their professional lives are in danger and they are beginning to feel lonely. This choice is existential rather than merely romantic. Nate's conflict between ambition and morals has been a defining factor in his demise. He used to be a healer, but after joining the Newman Empire, he exchanged medicine for manipulation. In contrast, Audra represents the same alluring peril that drew him to corruption. To forgive her would be to accept a side of himself that he has attempted to suppress. However, in Genoa City, love, or lust, frequently defies logic. The authenticity of Nate and Audra's relationship has been a topic of discussion among fans for a long time. However, as the events of the October 3rd episode progress, we witness glimmers of weakness in both. Nate's hesitancy is more conflicted, while Audra's cries are less theatrical than before. The allure of forbidden love, set against the backdrop of ambition, is a quintessential YNR scenario. Nate's romantic destiny as well as his redemption story will depend on whether he gives in or fights. Holden Novak and Claire Grace Newman, the runaway plotline. Claire Grace Newman and Holden Novak are getting ready to depart Genoa City amid the turmoil of family conflicts and business disputes. The subtle unpredictability of this combo is intriguing. Claire, who is still dealing with the emotional fallout from her complicated past with the Newmans, appears to be yearning to escape and reinvent herself away from the turmoil of her family. That getaway is provided by the mysterious and reclusive Holden. Nothing is ever as it seems, though, in typical soap opera fashion. The generational gap at the core of the Newman family is revealed by Victoria and Nikki Newman's responses to Claire's ideas. Claire is still seen by them as weak and incapable of making mature judgments on her own. Their concern feels both controlling and protective when they learn that she is going with Holden rather than Kyle. Victoria's choice to accompany Claire to Los Angeles creates the conditions for a cross-city Newman drama that may come up during Nick and Sharon's visit to Noah in LA. There's a great deal of room for tales to overlap here. The Los Angeles trip might be the next narrative development for YNR if it keeps going in this direction, providing an opportunity to combine romance, suspense, and revelation. Claire's decisions may put the Newmans' tenuous reconciliation to the test, while Holden's enigmatic history may be connected to more significant family or business secrets. Victor's takedown and Jack's trick, Monday, October 6th. The tone changes from emotional confrontation to strategic warfare as the week progresses into the Monday, October 6th program. A thematic crescendo is indicated by the title alone. Jack's trick, Audra's war, Victor's takedown. At this stage, Victor and Jack's short-term partnership has turned into a risky game of deceit. Victor becomes so irritated at Kane that it explodes. Victor, who is used to using intimidation to win, is disarmed by Kane's sudden self-assurance. The younger man's unwillingness to compromise has revealed an insecurity that Victor rarely displays. He may be dealing with an enemy who isn't scared of him for the first time in years. His fixation is fueled by that realization. In order to remind Genoa City, who still has power, he starts planning a takedown that goes beyond business and is a personal reckoning. Meanwhile, Jack engages in his own game. Even though he seems to be cooperating, Victor is unaware of the cards he is holding. The idea that Jack has a trick up his sleeve alludes to a traditional Abbott tactic, outwitting force with cunning and wisdom. It's unknown if Billy, Kyle, or a new partner will be involved in that ruse, but it's obvious that Jack wants to come out of this partnership stronger than when he started. Audra and Kyle, a risky combination. Another flammable component is added to the mix by the plot line involving Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles. Once based on manipulation, their relationship has taken on a darker quality, a tug-of-war between antagonism and attraction that neither can ignore. Their relationship is on the verge of breaking down by October 6th. A passionate relapse, a business betrayal, or an emotional breakdown could all be considered their point of no return. Supporters believe it's all three. Kyle's increasing dissatisfaction with his parents, profession, and love life makes him an ideal target for Audra's character, who lives on instability. Their chemistry intensifies as they clash more. It will be out of desperation, a common need to feel in control amidst the chaos, rather than love if they wind up back in bed together. But the consequences can be severe. Claire would have to deal with yet another emotional scar if she finds out, and Jack and Diane's reaction would be combustible. Predicting the future. This tale arc's deep symmetry is what makes it so brilliant. From Billy and Jill's fight to Victor and Jack's collaboration, every plotline reflects the same overarching theme: vulnerability against control. The ceasefire between Victor and Jack conceals insecurity. Billy's anger conceals his desire for love. Nate's hesitation exposes his fear of failing, and Claire's flight emphasizes her need for identity. Every character is engaged in an internal conflict in addition to an exterior one. The Young and the Restless prepares for a wide-ranging fallout as the episodes, airing from October 3rd to 6th, come to an end. As is often the case, Victor's takedown strategy will probably fail in some way. Jack's trick will work, but it will come at a moral cost. Billy's conflict with Jill can drive him in a different direction and even rekindle his addiction narrative. The dynamic between Nate and Audra may develop into a power couple arc or collapse due to dishonesty. Additionally, Claire and Holden's adventure may reveal startling facts related to the Newman family history. In conclusion, The Young and the Restless captures all the elements of excellent daytime storytelling in 2 episodes: slow-burning suspense, emotional sincerity, and psychological depth. The plot of Victor and Jack Attack serves as a reminder to viewers that trust is the most valuable resource in Genoa City, and the partnerships are always brittle. The conflict between Billy and Jill demonstrates how bitterness and love may coexist in tragic harmony. The universal conflict between discipline and desire is examined by Nate's choice. As Jack and Victor prepare their next moves, viewers are left wondering who will lose the most, rather than who will win. The magic of the show resides in the way it reinvents long-standing rivalries. The Abbott family's disintegration, the Victor-Jack collaboration, and Nate and Audra's moral dilemmas all highlight the same enduring reality of YNR. Power is ephemeral, but the effects endure forever.